I'm not good at English, sorry, but I'll do my best. Let's start. This is what I'm talking about. Me in the time of ups and downs. I will show you all of me. I'm Hayaki Nishigaki. I am an artist. I'm based in Kyoto, a shared studio called Heidenban and Heidenban's members. I do a lot other than being an artist. For example, transportation, Kyoto Public Bath Art Festival, teacher at the Art University, and YouTuber. So I have 21 registrants. Very enough. And a designer. In general, artists do their own creative activities based on their genres and artworks. But my case is quite different, since none of my artworks hadn't been sold for such a long time. I've been doing a lot of second jobs in order to continue my creation. If I took all of my jobs, the beautiful fresh morning will be an intense one. So sad to say, but I'm going to talk about my art today. Do you know the artist Altenbourg? He worked from the mid to the end of the 16th century in Italy. The royalty at the time collected rare species of animals, plants, and even humans. Altenbourg, as a court painter, had opportunities to observe them. He painted the power and sarcasm of the emperor in these paintings. I also feel his limitless curiosity about nature and creatures from his depiction that he took over from Da Vinci. On the other hand, Kuniyoshi Utagawa uses human figures to form the figure of a man. When it was time to enter the Meiji Restoration, Kuniyoshi found in Altenbourg's paintings that the West has some sense of violence, so-called men ruled them all. And he probably wanted to express it now. I arranged the style of these two artists that I respect into a contemporary style. It becomes like this. I interpreted their methods in my way. I found that attaching a symbolic motif to someone in that era becomes sarcasm. I will explain how it's applied in my works. The letters stand for the present system. When I first drew this, I thought this is the modern system. This is modern symbol of big data in an information-oriented society. And who appears in this letter, as you already know. It's Godzilla. It's Godzilla. Then why Godzilla? I will explain other traits as well. Do you know Super Famicom? Do you know? This Super Famicom soft. My treasure. By the way, this work turns out to be the series of Enso, a circle. This is Enso. I started the series of Sansui in 2019. Sansui is known as a traditional Chinese technique for more than 1,000 years. It was very popular in the Song dynasty. A fisherman always appears as a feature. He is a representative of easy life and self-sufficiency away from the world. It proves that there were people who looked at paintings and encouraged themselves more than 1,000 years ago. It's not a big difference from us. Working hard, going home, and watching YouTubers demonstrate how to camp and DIY. Let's go back to my story. I paint this fisherman as us. We don't notice that Godzilla is nearby, or we don't even try to look at him as we go on an easy life. To be specific, we think we live an easy life. But when we look closer, the fishhawk catches a tree instead of a fish. I started this new series during the pandemic. Compared to my other series, it has more folkways, various social problems, and events are depicted ironically. For example, Godzilla comes to Japan beyond the ocean as well as coronavirus. The monster can be coronavirus impacts of inbound immigration and territorial issues. Anyway, I wish Godzilla could destroy all these problems. So this kind of faint hope is contained in the Hyakko series. These are the series that I've been working on recently. Then, why did I choose Godzilla as a main motif? Godzilla had different rules in different ages. He can be reflected to the accident of Daigo Fukushima, World War, educational and environmental issues, Tohoku earthquake, and technological singularity. Since many rules are given to Godzilla persistently, it looks like he doesn't have this spontaneous urge to destroy. It's just like us with no great goals, but also roaming around and attacking others on the internet and SNS. So, Godzilla is actually us and me. By the way, this is a self-portrait. I drew this when I was high school. From now, I will talk about my artist in residence program in Kyoto last March. The city was very busy for developing infrastructure for the World Cup. Somehow I was almost forced it to be sent to Qatar by Ms. Yagi, my manager in Kyoto. But thanks to her, a collaboration with an experienced Qatari artist, Yosef Ahmadou, came true. The collaboration was aimed to exchange the traditional material from each country and make a dialogue between two different cultures. I had to bring kozo, a raw material to produce washi to Qatar. This is a picture of kozo I got in Japan. I was planning to pack them in my luggage, but it was unexpectedly big, so I had to cut them into pieces. Two of my luggage were fully filled with kozo, so it looks like smuggling. Eventually, it passed quarantine and I was able to enter Qatar. My daughter. Very cute. I love it. I love it. This is the studio of Yosef. The large studio was full of his past works. It reminded me of Pablo Picasso. My first mission was to make paper. There are wild palm trees in Qatar, so we use them as material. This method was invented by Yosef. This is when we are working together to produce paper. We made various works by using these papers. This story was about Japan, Godzilla, and Nishigaki, and Nishigaki versus Qatar Falcon. And Yosef, Falcon is a symbol of wealth in Qatar. We mixed a piece of paper which Yosef made in the kozo. This is Enso, a circle with the fusion of Arabic and Japanese. Yosef drew Arabic, and I drew Japanese. The form of a circle is a tail of Godzilla. This is a Qatari version of Hayaki. You can see Qatari people and building. Godzilla finally reached the land of Qatar. There are more works like this. Hayaki. Tail of Godzilla. Qatari version of Sansui. I will talk about what I want to do from now on. I started using gold leaf this year. My major is oil painting, so I had mixed feelings about using gold leaf. I received a very westernized education called design, a specific drawing style. In high school, before entering university, and in university, I learned how to paint. The background is important in pictorial space. It's true that the well-ordered perspective makes the scenery in the painting beautiful. Instead, Japanese painters capture the background as blank. They also use gold leaf to express the blank itself, such as Rakurai, Folding Screen by Eitoku Kano. If motif in the west equals to here in Japan, and infinity space in the west equals to background in Japan. The question is how the person who was educated by westernized art would be happy to sublimate gold leaf into pictorial space. For now, I started drawing motif equals Godzilla equals Japanese island, and another motif equals gold leaf equals flame radiation. So gold leaf equals gold cloud is an omen of Godzilla's flamethrower. I'd like you to watch the scene of Shin Godzilla at 1, 4, and 8 seconds. The Japanese expression of gold cloud was updated to the subculture by the volcanic smoke. Lastly, I'd like you to compare these two. I received another souvenirs from artist residence in Qatar and Rob Holdings in Okayama. A medal from Qatar, a vest from Rob Holdings. These souvenirs represent the cultural characteristics of each country. You can see the difference between Qatar and Japanese here. The culture that recognizes me with a shiny, symmetric medal, and the culture that recognizes me with a sober, colored, asymmetric face. For me, they are attractive motif. How is it to you? Thank you for listening. And by the way, I always take order of commissioned works. Please contact this email for inquiry. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Nishigaki-san. Each time I meet you, there's more discoveries on how your work is evolving and developing. And yesterday I was reading an article in Artwork Archives, and it said, why we need art in time of crisis. And they said art is an expression of what it means to be human, to voice and express, and to bring people and ideas together. And I think you're doing just that with your motifs. So, thank you for sharing your works. And today, we have a really great treat. He actually brought 2 of his works here so that you could see the real thing rather than just in the screen. So I hope you enjoy that and talk to Nishigaki-san about that as well. Now, I'd like to kick off a couple of questions beforehand to Nishigaki-san, and then I'll open up to the floor and over to cyberspace as well. So please think of great questions to ask Nishigaki-san. One of you had mentioned so many aspects, the art history aspect comparing the West and here in Japan and the East, and I think that was a great comparison. And then also your experiences in Qatar. But, in terms of your, you as an artist, you had mentioned that you had you have different jobs that you've done in the past. Do you think that has helped you as an artist?
Many jobs?
はい、副業をたくさんアーティストと成功するまで副業をたくさんやってらっしゃったっていうことをおっしゃってましたけど、それって今現在ご自分の作品に影響を与えてますか？いい影響でもいいし悪い影響でもいいし、副業についてのお考えを日本語でもいいですし英語でもどちらでも 結構ですのでお願いします。
I love painting and this design. So I design to black ink now. なんていうのかな、こうすごく大切な関係っていう感じですね。で and transportation is very important jobs for me because I can visit every studio and I can talk with many artists, and for example art idea and art market in Kyoto or in Japan and global market. So very important time meeting artists. And my teacher's experience is I teach my student black ink or design or oil painting. So my student teach me and now art information and technique now in technique. So very my job is a very important experience. This.
I think that's very interesting, the fact that you are engaged in transporting art, and you're gathering so much information from that in the art market in Kyoto, as well as you're drawing, as you're a teacher, you're drawing information from your students. I think that's great. And I think that's probably influencing, and that's probably, I kind of think that you're able to draw in so much information about society as a whole now, and that I think that's influencing on your artwork. 情報を収集した上でしているから結構それが作品に影響してるっていう感じがします。
そうです。
はい。
That's right.
はい。The other question that I have is, as a teacher, what do you teach your students? 教師としては生徒さんたちに、学生にはどういうことをアーティストとして教えていらっしゃいますか？
Do you love your girlfriend? I question every day. It's joke. 何言うてartist job is very hard, and artists have to 学ぶってなんだっけ、have to learn globalism and so society problem this, and my health care, my health care, and rainy or sunny, and everything. So I want to my student look world or outside every time.
Do you think your students are more inward looking? なんですか、学生さんたちって結構内向的っていうか、あんまり外へ目を向けてないって感じですか？
I think so too. Too じゃない。I think so.
What do they think about your experience in Qatar? カタールでのご経験はどういうふうに学生さんたちは受けましたか？
なんとかなるってなんですか？ As you like, as you mean. なんとかなる。
Just go with the flow.
I can't speak English, so gesture. I want to tell or speak or learn or teach. But I can't speak English. I don't speak English, so in gesture. Okay. If I want to eat breakfast in pan.
Bread.
Is bread. And I want to burn.
何ですか？
Cook. Yes, cook. And I don't discover the oven. So I bring bread and where? Gesture. I gesture. Oh, okay. Come on. So maybe we eat breakfast and lunch and dinner every country. So.
I think your English is very good, and so it's great to hear that you were able to get by. So that's great. I think that's a great experience. Now I'd like to open up to the floor to questions. Any questions, Johnny? If you could mention your name before you ask your question.
I'm Johnny. I do a little art foundation in Tokyo for many years. And no, I love the spirit of your work and the concept about Godzilla and the how I think Japanese society, Japanese people, more than any people in the world, are living the reincarnation in the true spirit of, in face of destruction, getting up again, like the phoenix bird, and starting over again, letting go and moving on. And also, I like your philosophy of giving. What the most thing you have to give to Japanese students is not to be ino naka no kawazu. When I'm a child on the trains in Kobe, the old lady on the train say, "Oh, is a gaijin child is unusual. What do you think about Japan?" And I would say, "Sa, taikai no kame, ino naka no wakarazu." But I love your concept of Godzilla and the whole Japanese idea of destruction and rebirth, reinvention, rinne type of thing, and your philosophy of what you want to give to your students. And your work is beautiful. Thank you very much for sharing.
Thanks, Johnny. ジョニーさんはですね、アートファウンデーションをやってらっしゃって、 特に西垣さんの作品の精神とゴジラのモチーフについて非常に感銘を受けてますと。特に輪廻改正のモチーフなど、すごくいいと思ってらっしゃるということです。はい。Any other questions? マリコさん。
マニアンマリコです。I might start with Japanese question and then say it in English. 先ほど最初の方にイタリアの作家、日本の作家2人のインスピレーションを受けて、であと例えば昔の絵画の金色の使い方ですとか、なんかいろんな過去のアーティストアートですとかテクノロジーとかを組み合わせていて、であと今日のご説明になかったけれど私が以前聞いてすごく面白いなと思っていたのが、実は絵の中をよく見ると、例えば木がよく描かれてるけど木の根っこは全部女性の足とかだったり、見れば見るほどいろんなものが出てきて、でなんかそういった組み合わせを通じて西垣さんが追求されているっていうのはなんか何なのかなっていうのを知りたくて、なんかそれが日本社会への批判みたいなところに以前は私ちょっと感じたんですけれども、さっきジョニーさんが輪廻日本の生き返るみたいなところっておっしゃってたんですけど、ちょっとそこがなんか思いをお聞かせいただけたらと思いました。You explained that you combine past artists like the Giuseppe Italian artist, Kunigawa Japanese artist, and then you combine like Enso, the traditional Japanese picture, or the gold and the golden motifs. And then I also know from your past explanations, presentations, that you actually, when you look really into detail into your pictures, paintings, for example, in the trees, you would design like women, like Japanese idols' legs. And you explained to me that it's sort of like criticizing the Japanese society of like, it's always like the young girls' legs and then they just go away later. And I wanted to know, like, is it a pursuit of the Japanese society? Like, are you like criticizing the Japanese society, or as Johnny-san said, are you trying to revive the Japanese society? And I wanted to know what your pursuit was through this, all the things, elements you put into like this. Actually, very, very, I think, find like complex and intriguing artworks.
むずいな。
よければ日本語で言っていただいたらおそらくします。
そうですね。Japanese people feeling same time every year, every day. I think so. But I don't like Japan. So だから難しい。日本語でいいですか？ちょっと難しい。日本は大好き。それぐらいの英語喋れって感じなんですけど、日本は大好きでも、嫌いでもある。でその中間で物事を考えたいんですね。好きだからこうとか嫌いだからこうではちょっと嫌だと。だからいいところと悪いところを作品のディテールに入れていく、それを大切にして、だから見る人が、どっちにも取れるように、いい風にも見れる、悪い風にも見れる、あるいは気づきにもなるっていうことを、常に考えながら作品制作を、しています。でいいですかね。なんかもっといろいろあるんですけど。
ありがとうございます。Should I translate? Okay. So he mentioned that he loves Japan, but he also hates Japan. But he wants to be in the middle, so not because he likes it or hates it, but to try to depict both the good parts and the bad parts of Japan. and add them in as details of each paintings, and the audience would take it in their own way, as if it's and it could inspire them in different ways.
Thank you so much, Mariko-san. And I think for those of you who are here, by viewing Nishigaki-san's work up close, you'll be able to really see the fine details of what he had just described. So, any other questions? はい、どうぞ。
ありがとうございました。先ほどそのなんかこう自分を中軸に置くっていう話ですよね。西垣さんの作品を見ていてどういうふうにそう自分を中軸、結構私余白があったりするとやっぱりこう自分のこうをリセットして、まあそこの中でなんかちょっとアートと向き合ったりとかするんですけれども、中垣さんの作品って結構ずっと私は圧倒されっぱなしでこう真ん中に自分を持っていくっていうのがまだ西垣さんの作品に関してはちょっとどう向き合えばいいかっていうのが考えているところなんですけれども、なんかどういったこうなんでしょう見方をすればそういった両方の視点を持てるようになるのかなっていうのはなんかサジェッションとかありますか？
いやでもそれこそ本当にas you like なんですけど、まあ中心に置くっていうのはまあ作家としてのポリシーなんですよ。だから見てもらう分にはどちらにこう思ってもらってもいいというスタンスですね。ただなんかこう偏るとおそらく編集がすごく強くなってしまう作家としてそれがもしかしたら良くないのではないかっていうところがちょっとあるんです。編集は必要だけどこうなんだろうね主張することをそこまで強くはしたくないっていうところがずっと昔からあって、まあ、それはなんでしょうね自分の経験の中でずっとあったんですけどそれがまあ今も引きずってるような感じだと思います。
ご自身ずっと描かれていて何かすごくこう作品の作風にすごい変化が出てるとか今はどういうこう西垣さん時期といいますかどういうなんでしょうフェーズにいらっしゃるんでしょうか？
そうですねまあとにかく最近は、まあ、この金箔ですねゴールドリーフですねを考えていてやっぱり教育、まあ、自分が先生をしてるっていうところでまあデッサンをすることで結構デッサンって日本人の感覚の中で空間を作ることができない人ってめちゃくちゃいるんですね。でそれを反強制的にこう空間を教え込むんですけどなんかそこに違和感しかないというかこれ先生大学の人見てないかなこれ言ったら僕が解雇される可能性もあるんですけどなんかそこになんかこう無理やり押し込めることの意味っていうことをずっと考えていてでそこでなんかこう自分の作品で見た時に例えばその金箔を使うとすればその金箔って西洋的な空間を僕は教育として教えられたのでその後ろの奥行きとしてこう見なければいけないというのがやっぱりすごくジェラシーみたいなものがあったんですねできなかったので自分が。だからそれをその悔しさをもう一度その金箔を使うことによって、更新できないかあるいはまあ日本人の感覚をもう少しなんていうか西洋的なデッサンを押し込むのではなくて、 なんかもう少しそこをこう、感性的につなげられないかっていうところを今やってみてるっていうことですね。それを金作ではずっと意識してやってます。
Hi, thank you so much. There's a lot to translate with regards to this, and I didn't really take notes, but I think in terms of, I think the last statement that Nishigaki-san had made in regards to having a Western arts education, and he, in regards to trying to make a perspective based on that, and in terms of his current works, making it his works using gold leaves and trying to make perspectives in a more of a Eastern Japanese sense, I think is the challenge that he's facing now. But at the same time, that's I kind of interpret it as, it comes from his heritage. But it was interesting also the fact that he said that he likes to position himself as an artist in the middle, very center himself, rather than editing his works too much. And he relies on his audience, the viewers, to interpret themselves with regards to his work. So I thought that was quite interesting.
One last comment is, I think your work is another great example of keeping alive the spirit of the Mingegun, of reinventing the traditional into the contemporary, as you see with the architect Kengo Kuma or with Hiroshi Sugimoto, Liu Fan. They reinvent the traditional into the contemporary, keeping alive the spirit of the Mingegun. So thank you again.
Thanks, Johnny. So I have a question from our co-chair of the Arts Committee, Tsutomu Horiuchi, online. And he says, do you have any plan to expand your motif from Godzilla to some other monsters, such as Gamera, or something else? Or only Godzilla matters to you? ゴジラ以外に作品に例えばガメラとかを幅を広げるっていうお話はあるんでしょうか？
I drew one time Barutan Seijin. Do you know Barutan Seijin in Ultraman? But I think I am Godzilla and you are Godzilla. So I have to draw only Godzilla now. But if I think other motif, I want to other motif. Maybe I draw. Maybe. But and now my motif is Godzilla only.
During the pandemic, during Corona, I think in some of your works you've had other characters. コロナ禍で確か新しいモチーフも出てきたと思うんですけども、そこら辺はいかがでしょうか？
ゴジラのつもりなんですけどね。ゴジラしか描いてないつもり。
なんかモチーフが増えませんでしたっけ？
そうですね。増えた、for example, demons, 100 demons, and this is Kiryu, midway war, but Godzilla is destroy. So every motif is commission Godzilla, same Godzilla. 増えてるけど全部ゴジラなんです。
わかりました。はい。 堀内さんからまた質問が。There's actually a few questions from 堀内さん。His questions following on is, then what is Godzilla in essence? ゴジラのエッセンスは何なんですか？何度もお話ししてらっしゃるかもしれないですけど。象徴という。
それぞれのシリーズで違うけど、なんだろう、それぞれの世代で捉えられるからいいのであって、なんかこれとはあんまり説明できないですね。ただ近くにいることを知らないようにしている人は多いんだろうなと思います。
Godzilla is the meaning of Godzilla is different for each generation, but Nishigaki-san basically says that Godzilla is nearby all of us. There's another question from Horiuchi-san. You said you are Godzilla and we also are Godzilla. Is there anything universal and common in us? ゴジラご自分もゴジラであって我々もゴジラだっていうふうにおっしゃってますが、何かこう共通するようなことってあるんでしょうか？その意味、ゴジラを象徴するという意味合いで。
例えば1900年代とかに入った時の例えば日本人であったりとか、対敵国がいたようなものいた時の時代であったりとか、あるいは西洋的なアートの歴史を紐解いた時に何かの対立軸があって、でそれに対して自分はこうだっていうことを存在として認めることができた。向こうはこうだけど私はこう、向こうはこうだけど私はこうっていうことが続くことによって、文化っていうものを培ってきたっていう時代から、今はなんかファッションとして文化を取り入れてるようなことって多いと思うんですね。文化とか、あるいはついこの前もひろゆきさんが炎上してましたけど、沖縄の問題とかね、座り込みは何だっていう問題とかも含めて、それがファッショナブルに扱われるようになってきたっていうところが、すごく僕は特徴的だと思うんですね。なのでゴジラというものも実は、例えば最初生まれた時は戦争というものを、あるいは第五福竜丸、これはプレゼンテーションでも言いましたけど、そこら辺をモチーフに、描かれていたものが高度経済成長に入ると、子供たちがたくさん生まれるとゴジラの息子っていう、教育問題の話になったりとか、あとは環境問題になったりとかに変わっていくと。だけどでもそれがすごくなんかゴジラっていうものを、本質的に描いたものではなくて、ゴジラの仮面を使うことによって、それを描くことができているっていうところが、近代から現代に移り変わっていく流れとして、非常に近しい関係にあるなっていうふうに思ったんですね。だからそういう意味でなんか現代人が何かを語ろうとした時に二項対立ではなくて、内なるものとか、あるいはファッションとして何かを扱おうとしているところというものがすごくゴジラと自分たちが似てるなっていうところも感じる。であるいはなんかSNS とか、インターネット上の批判をするときに SNS の仮面をかぶることによって、批判することができるけど、実際対面した時には何も言えないっていう。だからそういうなんか仮面っていうものが一つゴジラっていうものと言い換えられるのではないかと思っています。
ディープですね。Okay, I'm going to try my best to translate this. which is going to be, I think it's going to be very simplified. But what Nishigaki-san mentioned was his juxtaposing the Godzilla and what its representations through generations. So one is in the past, art in itself, there was an age when there was always art, and I think society in general, when Japan was in its learning stage, there was always something that was going against it and acquiring. Whereas art, currently what art is represented is that it's becoming more fashionable to do art. And so thinking about that, when Godzilla was originally born, it was born out of end of World War II and war. And after that, as Japan had progressed with the economic development, it developed, the motif of Godzilla developed onto Godzilla's children, meaning, where there was lots of children being born, baby boomers, and then after that, there's obviously talk of the environment, etc. And so thinking of that, Godzilla is something that is an underlying theme that is being developed as Japan has developed in society, and therefore he thinks that it is something that is within us, and therefore that is the reason why he says that Godzilla is within himself as well as within us. So I think that is actually it from our online questions. Is there any questions here from the floor? はい、井上さん、お願いします。
正面の墨のゴジラの絵とか、さっきゴールドを使った緑が綺麗な絵とか見てると、自分で考えて主張したいことと美しいことっていうのはどういうふうに調和させているかっていうか、美しく仕上げる、美しく見えることについてどういうふうに考えられています？いや難しいな。難しい。
また難しい質問ありがとうございます。So the two works that you have here, the one is the ink-based work, and also the gold leaf work, and it's actually both pieces are quite beautiful, but in terms of what you want to say as a piece of artwork and making these works beautiful, how do you balance yourself? How do you balance the works when you're developing these works?
すごいな、難しい。こんないや、そうなんですけど、いや、なんかそうですね、いや、普段そんな質問もあんまり受けないので、いや、すごく本質的なところをえぐられるような感じがしてすごく面白いなとは思ってるんですけど、まあ多分これに変えてるんだと思うんです、僕は。おそらく美しさというものをどこに持っていってるかというところを考えたときにだと思うんです。で、だけどまあ多分デッサンっていうものを一つ基準に置いてるとは思うんだけど、そうだ、何なんだろうな、でも美しさ、
そこで通訳します。So the balance that this question is a really great question, but and it's actually a very challenging question to me because it goes to the core of what he does. But one of the things that brings me back to the question of where my benchmark is, it goes back to the drawing, the charcoal or pencil drawing that I've done in the past.
そう、まあ美しさっていうものを、まあ、どう定義するかな気もするんですね。 で僕の過去の作品はおそらくデッサン的なものだけ only デッサンのエクスペリエンスおそらくだけど最近は本当になんだろうな
So the benchmark that the benchmark of the beauty that I have in my works is the drawing that I have. But these days,
そう直接的まあゴジラもそうだと思うんですけど直接的にそのいろんな問題抱えなければあるいは直視しなければいけない問題をこう見てクリアしていかなければいけないと思うんだけどなんか案外そういういろんな問題とかを皮肉めいて、作品に入れてで、まあ、ある種ちょっと抽象的に噛み砕くというか抽象的に描いているものを、まあ、例えば同世代とか下の子とか上の世代とかと共有した時に結構なんかこう納得してくれることが多いだからなんかこうそこで一回訳しますか。
はい。So within my works, what I've been trying to do is there are so many important issues in the world that we have to solve, but those concepts I've intentionally put into my works more in a conceptual matter. And for those works, it seems that people in my generation or people in all generations seem to accept that more so in an easier way than before when they see it in my work.
アハ体験ですおそらくアハ体験とデッサンが美しくなっているというふうに思います。
So I think my interpretation is the aha moment that I have, and also the drawings that I've had. The combination of the two is what makes my work beautiful. Is my interpretation. So thank you so much, Nishigaki-san, for your sharing your journey with us, and for those of you here on site as well as online, thank you for joining us, and see you next time.